nice. I just got home from, well, before starting on that little path or that direction, this video is, I don't know, there's no set plan for it. I don't know what to talk about. I have no topic in mind in particular. It just, when I was on the way home driving the car from the psychiatrist's office or meeting or whatever, I haven't met this guy for 3 or 4 months. I only go there personally because I don't find value in normal psychotherapy. I go there only for being able to maintain the, let's see what it's called. Let's take our time. Enough stress in this world, right? Sick leave. Well, long-term sick leave then, to keep that going. So I'm not going there in the hopes of them being able to help with issues of the degradation and pain of this body that has been ongoing for a long time. That's not going to happen, not in that way. EFT is a wonderful modality, energy healing, that anyone could apply. That works way better than anything they can do in the typical sense in psychotherapy and the typical healthcare, so I recommend that. Anyway, I was there. Overall, I'm becoming more and more observing of things. And of things, then I mean this world, the senses, the perception of all that is. But I do still get caught in the role of the experiencer, the sufferer, the Jonas, as in regards of I am the one who has to fix this, I am this, I'm that, all the labels, you know. And I still play with INFJ and Enneagram stuff. It still has some value, and I know it has big value for others. At this point, I'm starting to, I'm not gonna say 2 big words here, but I'm starting to transcend the normal human tendencies and programming, conditioning. But as I said, I still get caught in it due to pain, due to economic this and that. So objects in the perception coming up, sense perceptions, thoughts of how am I gonna solve this and that. So I do get caught in the personality role still, but we are pure awareness. We are not, we're not the body, we're not the mind. You are aware of the body and the mind. Anyway, and it's gracious, it's beautiful when you're truly here and not caught up in a story. But as I said, I do get caught up in stories still of personhood. Either way, I was there and the topic of misunderstanding came up. So I've been seeing this guy maybe 30 times in general the last, maybe close to since I got that sick, whatever it's called in English. I've been long term sick, physically hard to work and do the normal chores because things are, this physical body is, somehow I'm not yet finding a way there. But I'm not gonna make too many concepts about that either. Anyway, the concept, the idea of misunderstanding came up and he started mentioning that the way I speak, and I mentioned the INFJ thing again, which I have before. He started painting a picture because he feels that let's pause this a little bit. That I want to be understood, but make myself being misunderstood by people by the way I naturally am. So there was a lot of backs and forth there, and I've not been that confronting with him before, I think. But I was very clear that about what's going on in the world now, the masks and whatever, and how that affects us long term, and the children. and my own situation, and that what I do for daily practice, and he feels like, yeah, I pick up on so many things, and the thing about understanding, misunderstanding, and feeling misunderstood, and that has been my background and whatever. It's very much an INFJ thing, and he said that it takes such a long time for me when I'm saying something, and I want to share it outwards. Enneagram 4 wing 5, 5 wing 4, whatever. It's self-reflecting, self-referencing, and somehow this is seen as being slow to get to the point, being too complex and abstract, even when I'm not abstract. I'm especially in the spiritual sense, it's right here, right now. Abstractions are done by the mind, of course, and there is an INFJ cognition going on. So he's talking about people may not have, and I know that he's speaking of himself, but he doesn't say it like that. He doesn't have the patience to listen to me or people who talk too long before they get to the point. But then I was saying, we all have our natural way of expressing ourselves, and even and that should be okay, it's natural. But if you're not even allowed to be yourself and express yourself as you are when you're going to psychotherapy, where you're supposed to clean stuff out and get stuff out of you, and they want you to do it in a certain way, that's conditions, right? You can't be yourself here either. And I'm thinking of the bigger scale of this, humanity at large, that everyone are feeling so misunderstood because they aren't, first off, aware of themselves, not completely at all. And how can we expect others to understand us if we are not aware of ourselves? And even if we are pretty big time aware of ourselves, if we don't share that with others, it's not like they can read your mind or anything. People are in general misunderstood and feel that, and I definitely felt that a lot in my life. And when I explained that I don't have the same need to be understood at this point, due to the spiritual development, we're already it. We're already the self. So there's a lot of paradoxes in regards of human language there. Anyway, so I'm simply being myself, and I'm not people pleasing. I'm saying whatever comes up to mind and to heart when I feel like he is doing, getting an idea and trying to say that this is what's going on with you, and it's just not. It's misunderstood because it's perceived from the limited self-identity that he think himself to be. And the valley and the mountain, you can't see the whole mountain from the valley. You just can't see it. But when you stand on the mountain looking down, you can actually have a more full view, a zoomed out point of view of what's going on in your life and others. And in this life, this existence in general, this is natural to us, but we're being conditioned to believe that we're separate, that we're this small little person. And so I have all these things still in the nervous system. Our conditioning is basically based in two places. It's not even places in one way to say it, but let's call it that. It's the central nervous system and the nervous system in general. So the fight and flight, all of that as well. Most people are in low key all the time, and that's not healthy. And that's because we are thinking that we're disconnected. Anyway, so it's the nervous system and the subconscious mind. It's still playing here. There's still conditions that somehow, sometimes take me over, even though we can never be anything else other than that we are already. That's not how reality works. Either way, I hope this can make sense to some people. I know this will seem abstract, this might seem impersonal, this might seem unwise, but actually for the ones who are truly having the clarity of heart and observation, who done some self-inquiry, who doesn't just want to be stuck in the role of doing, fixing, suffering, trying to find happiness outside of yourself, then this video is probably for you. If you can resonate with the very energy or something I'm saying, there's a bigger thing going on here, and you are that. You are not just the form and the body. Getting back to, so when I was in the car on the way home, there was like something, shoot a video, and that was it. It's just not what I'm going to say, but something was sparked from that interaction. And indeed, I as the person am misunderstood by most people. And the issue that came up, that emotionally, nervous systemly triggered me, but I was also aware of the triggering, was that he was speaking that I'm making myself being misunderstood when I'm naturally speaking and being as I am, and making it so, when I look at this, it's like, when and where will people have the chance to, so to say, pour their hearts or their minds out and share what they are feeling and going through, without someone always in society, family, whatever, trying to rationalize, try to change what their experience. There's a lack of patience, there's a lack of wisdom, there's a lack of unity. At least the unity is here, but when we are unconscious of the unity, we cannot truly help another being. And what I'm all for in this life, my Dharma, is to further liberate this sense of self and release that, to surrender that to the allness, to the Tao, to the God, to the Godhead, whatever you want to call it, Shiva, and to truly meet people as they are. And I see them, even in our interaction when I was sitting with him face to face. I felt and I saw that he is himself suffering. And it's rather that I am his therapist than the other way around. But I'm not sure how conscious he is of that. It is, I noticed that triggers that came up, since I was, as usual, very controversial, seemingly, and complex and whatever, and taking time before getting to a point. But there's a point for it taking a while to get to a point. If he says people don't have patience for that, blah blah blah, that's your projection, that's your point of view, that's not for everyone. So I said, like, people of similar minds, like for example, often that I could vibe with on that level, and they would understand me and I would understand them, and there's a play there. We can play together, we can learn, we can grow as human beings, we can connect, we can create, but we cannot do that from a space of being in lack of patience. Patience is indeed a virtue. And psychotherapy and most people, most systems are based on ego. Most are based on misunderstandings and falsehood, where we cannot honor each other. We cannot honor each other being separate from each other, because as long as we project our thoughts onto everything and think that our thoughts are the absolute reality, and thoughts, the intellect, is a cutting instrument. It's something that can, at best, it can discern things clearly, but it has to come from the heart, the soul space, and use the instrument of the intellect. But if the intellect alone is used by the separate entity, the ego, the person, you will falsely scrutinize things rather than having the righteous scrutinization of seeing clearly, of being able to actually help people and to be present with them. What do we need? We need connection, number one. Then the water and the food comes. The human being needs connection with the self and the tribe. But if we, as a society, especially nowadays in modern times, aren't allowed to, cannot simply be as we are and always have to play a role to adjust ourselves to fit someone else's narrative of what is right and wrong and how you should be, how you socially should behave. So this whole interaction was very it was a lot about this, and it seems to, this is what comes up now, nothing planned as usual. It's simply astounding, amazing somehow, that we are so interconnected that there is no distance except from what the eyes and senses can tell. But even there, you can find the oneness in all things. There is no Jonas and this body's survival without the air going into my lungs and skin and whatever. Everything is interconnected, and so are we on every single level. But when we act as though that we are separate, we will suffer the consequences of our delusions, which is based on the main illusion of us being, here is me, myself, and I, here are you, and we are trying to do this and that in the world without recognizing, who am I? Who am I? If we don't inquire on who we are and just project everything of the mind stuff onto the world, that is, and believe that will create our experience of reality. So, yeah, it's interesting that somehow at this point in time I still have to go there to be able to get my income to survive, for this body to survive, basic survival. It's not a lot of money. So I have to go there, and I'm expected subconsciously by culture to play a role, to be weak, weak for me is, well, that whole word can be so I'm supposed to be helpless and clueless, and if I come there with some clarity and doing my own stuff and not only listening to whatever culture or he or the establishment wants me to be and do, then that is wrong. It's not okay. The message from society is that it's not okay to be yourself, and yet so much of pop media, music, and what have you, and people even, the day in day life, just be yourself. But when you are yourself, it is not allowed. It's uncomfortable to people to be, at least to those who are not open yet, that have their hearts closed. It's uncomfortable, understandably so, when you really see what is going on. It's uncomfortable to be in the light and to be in the face of truth and reality, because you're living in delusion. And the vast majority of us are in the great illusion, the Maya, Shiva's wheel, samsara in Buddhism. And as long as we once again think and identify as, I am just this person with this body, and I'm doing this and this and that, I am a doctor, I am this, you think you are your role, and he thinks he is my psychotherapist, and doesn't yet understand, even though he's 60 plus years old, that indeed we are one. So I can say, I sat there and listened to him for a while. There was somewhere in the middle of the 1 hour session. And I felt such a great love and a euphoria, and I saw himself as I saw myself in him. I saw that he is just an expression, temporary in this existence, taking form, and we are here together now. And it was beautiful, and I see that in the eyes of children in nature, looking outside right now. I see that in every human being, and my life is never going to be the same. I'm not as blind as I once was, and further on going now is it's not exactly what happens, but it's a decent analogy. The peeling the onion thing, layers and layers, to find what was always there. What is the source of my being? That is what's happening right now, and that brings up. You have to face, like Christ, the Buddha, everyone. If you want to liberate yourself, or it's not like a want, it's not a mental wanting. If you're ready, if that's your Dharma in this lifetime, that's what will happen. If you're gonna be a businessman, that's what your life might be. I can't speak for others, at least in regards of relative truths. But existential truths, they are all unifying, it's all encompassing for all of us. But either way, what's going on in my life now, which makes it very hard for people to understand me as I am. Both I've been experiencing all my life being misunderstood in regards of personal stuff, emotions, what I want to do, the suffering and all of that. But in spirit, as spirit, you're definitely gonna be misunderstood. So he's tasting, and people who might interact with me in general, many people I know and have come back, and I met them once and whatever, and they wrote stuff to me that they've never experienced before. And that's not a greed thing or that I'm something special, because there is nothing special about me. And in truth, there is nothing special about anything when you drop the labels. Everything just is. And when you're truly yourself, you can meet other people so they feel seen and heard for once in their life. That's the greatest thing you can be and do in this lifetime. That is to be yourself, and your true self is full of spacious. It's spacious. You have patience, which the therapist lacks. You have openness, where there's a closeness and decisiveness of the ego of how things should be and not be. There's the polarity, the yin and yang, is very interesting when you're surfing the waves of life and realize that over and over again, realizing that I'm not just this body and this mind, and this whole thing is simply a projection of mind. And it's beautiful when you see it for what it is. It's the playground, it's the heaven. This earth is the heaven that we project as heaven out there. It's all a projection. So there are... it's so beautiful. And what I wish for people, truly, is the true healing of spirit. Not just the body, not just fixing this and that, because everything is temporary. Oh, you helped me fix this job, or this, I made it. But no, that next day, even after your accomplishment is done with, you studied 3 years to become whatever you thought would bring you happiness. It's not gonna bring you happiness. There is no happiness in outside objects or temporaries. The happiness always arises in me, in you. It's innate, it's natural. The children knows this. The Buddhas of the world knows this. They are this. We all are this, but as long as we remain ignorant about it, fascism, racism, all of these separating, deluded states of mind, and what comes out of that, manifestations of the confusions of our collective and own subjective individual unconscious, will keep repeating itself, and it will keep building. So there's not really, once again, there's a sense that I can conclude this now. Just maybe the takeaway from this, for anyone who listened this far, is that by honoring who you are and not bending to the will and rules of others, there will be hardships, and being more and more real and authentic, there will be hardships, unlike anything else. And many people won't understand this, because they are not in that space. They're just doing the daily 9-to-5 grind, sleeping through life in repetition. And it's okay. It's nothing wrong. It's not a judgment. It's simply what's happening. That's the wheel of samsara. But when you begin to awaken, and that's not something extraordinary or something that the mind projects as well. It is simply realizing that you are always here. You are the 0 point from where 1, 2, 3 and minus 1 to 3 to 10,000 of manifestations come from. Come out of, if you can say. It's projected. You're the screen, not the content on the screen. Going to the cinema, usually we think we are the character, we live into things, and it's beautiful. But when we forget that we are the seeing, the perceiver, the being, we will cause suffering around us in subtle ways, subconscious ways, and consciously. So there are many people out there, like, psychopaths are doing it very much consciously. Well, they are utterly unconscious, but in their identity, they don't care about other people. And it's just very interesting that I have to go see someone that is still asleep, but is beautiful as he is. And there are parts of me that are still sleeping too. So I'm not yet liberated. in completeness. The truth of me is free. It's for all of us. But there's conditioning of the nervous system and the subconscious mind that is still somehow sometimes taking control. The reactivity, this shouldn't be that way, this is evil, this is injustice, and having an emotional reaction to it. There's the problem. You see clearly things as they are, but as long as there are emotional reactions and not true response to what's happening in the seeming external world, then you're still stuck, partly. You're not ever stuck, really, but in thought you're stuck. This might be... I know I have some people who are into non-duality and true spirituality who watch my videos. I was perhaps not maybe very clear here, but I would just want to share what came up in the moment without having the mind trying to make something up, because that's what you see a lot on YouTube, that's what you see a lot in life in general. People are making stuff up and thinking that to be real. It's not spontaneous, it's not, most of the time it's not true. I want to do this in life. Why? Well, that's what I dreamed of since I was a child, and it's gonna make me happy. Getting it, 2 days later, I want something. The mind is going again. I want to do something. It feels, or maybe it can even last for a week. The honeymoon effect, you know. I finally got the girl. I finally got this job, thinking that this is gonna provide me happiness. That's, by the way, what we're all looking for: happiness, love, connection. It's all the way, actually different words, but it means the same thing in reality of things. When you rid the concepts and you're simply here. Compassion, empathy, love, beauty, it's all one. Let's see, maybe I'll continue. Maybe it can be a series of some sort, just speaking, and those who resonate will, and those who will judge, it's fine. The world, you're not meant to be understood in this world, not really. You're meant to understand. And when you understand and understand yourself, you don't need the external validation as such anymore. It's wonderful to be appreciated, encouraged. I even mentioned it that during my life, even during that meeting, it would be nice to have some encouragement. Someone that can honor and be with me and others as they listen to their own intuition, what they want to do, not what the social conditions is trying to force upon you. I want to honor everyone who's following their Dharma in life, who's being true to themselves. It's rare, but I think it's becoming more, even though there's a lot of suffering and disconnection, especially the last 1+ year. It's just blatantly evident. There is also an arising of the human consciousness, the evolution of consciousness in the human form is taking place, and I see a lot of wonderful, beautiful things going on. So there's really a huge polarity. I experience huge polarities on a daily basis nowadays. The contrast between when I notice that, oh, now I'm caught up again, and when I'm in the free space, there's a huge energetic difference. And the way you perceive everything that comes into your experience is way different. When you're identified as the body-mind, suffering is inevitable because this form is temporary. But when you are identified as being the deathless nature of what you are, who seemingly comes and goes, takes on a body, leaves the body, takes another body, until the point where you are one with the Tao, when you are free, when you're clear that I am the source of all experience. Even, like, stop thinking now, for example. Take a minute or so after this video finishes. Do you not exist even when you're not thinking? Of course you do. And still we believe we are our thoughts. And when you close your eyes and you're relaxed laying in the bed and really observe your body without the visual senses added to it, and our identification as this is my form, this is my body and arm, it's simply energy playing, it's simply energy dancing. It's all a movement, it's a flux, it comes and goes, it changes. Everything is changing all the time, nothing is stagnant. But when we try to remain as the stagnant, this is me thing. We will cause ourselves problems, suffering, and this is projected outwards too. So yeah, I'm gonna go outside into the sun. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into the sun, but the sun is experienced in me, right? You never experienced anything outside of yourself. When I look at that tree, where do I see the tree? Where is the tree experience taking place? It's here. It's not over there. That's the projection. It's happening here. When I see myself on the screen here right now, where am I seeing from? Who am I? So yeah, I can only encourage people to, even if you don't go about things this way, in the non-dual spiritual way, whatever feels right for you to be, to do, to act on, to not act on in your life now, be and do that. Don't succumb to the wishes and wants and cravings and forcing of other people. Only human beings with their egos force others into boxes and try to control them. Because why do you think my psychotherapist was definitely uncomfortable today? Because I was not playing by the social rules and I was not agreeing with whatever ideas he had that was wrong. But I was very clear about that when there was something to what I was saying. I not admire that. I'm listening. I'm there. So I will let him know when I feel energetically that what he's saying, there's some truth to it. But otherwise, just be you. That's maybe the message here. Just don't succumb to the seeming outside pressure. You don't need to. We think we need to. And thought is never real by itself. So think wisely. Thank you very much, and I hope you're doing well in these weird times in regards of the world. I hope you got something out of this, and if you have some suggestions for a particular topic or a video going deeper into something, or just some playful stuff with personality and whatever, let me know. And yeah, enjoy yourself. It's okay to be yourself. The world tries to force you into a fucking box. But you are not meant to be in a box. You're the life itself. Manifested as a human being for a while. So make use of it. You're fantastic as you are. Don't listen to the naysayers. They don't see life as it is. They don't see things clearly. Thank you. I'll see you soon.